Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Just Business. I'm glad you're with us today. Got a good video lesson for you today. It's very instructive, I believe, and very helpful as well. So let's get right into it. Before we get started, of course, if you could just hit the subscribe button, and I would greatly appreciate it. Also, give this video a thumbs up. Now let's get started. What's today's lesson about? Well, it's about calculating federal income tax. Now, a lot of the times people think, well, I don't need to worry about that. I got an accountant for that, or yeah, my job takes care of that. But it's important to understand how much of your money is being taxed, what percentages. It's fundamental to have a good understanding of how your income is taxed. It's always better to be more knowledgeable about something, so then, you could always make better, more informed decisions, whether that be with an accountant or whoever filing your taxes, or maybe you want to file your taxes yourself, or maybe you just want to know for your own amusement. It's very fun stuff. But anyway, let's talk about it. So, federal income tax. I know you've heard about tax brackets and, oh, well, if you make a lot of money, you're going to be taxed a lot, and this and that. How do they come up with the figures? How do they come up with these percentages? What are the percentages? Well, federal income tax is what's called a progressive tax, meaning the more you get paid, the higher of a tax rate you're going to have for your federal income. Now, does this mean if you make $100,000 a year, your income's taxed at 30%? Well, no, that's not exactly what that means. It's actually done in steps, depending on whether you're single, married, head of household, however you file. It's calculated in steps. So there's, the first tax bracket, second, third, fourth, fifth, so on. So if you make a certain amount, say you make $25,000 a year, well, you're going to be taxed in two different tax brackets. You're asking me, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, maybe it'll make a little more sense when you see this. That's essentially the current tax bracket rates there. So essentially, to run down that, to break it down Barney style, essentially you're taxed in different levels. So if you make $30,000 a year, your first amount, the first tax bracket is taxed at 10%, right? The remainder of that would be taxed at 12%. You see, you can refer back to the chart, and this will make a little more sense. We're also going to go over a demonstration here in a second, just to kind of give you a hands-on view of what this will look like. But essentially, that's what it is. A lot of the times, people think, and they'll make the mistake, very understandable, but they'll make the mistake that, because you make $100,000 a year, your whole tax rate's multiplied at 25, 32%, whatever it may be, depending on what year they fluctuate. But essentially, that's not how it works. I know it sounds a little confusing, but it's actually not too difficult once you kind of practice it and get the hang of it. So, without further ado, let's have a little demonstration here, and I'll show you how this looks in practice. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and do a simple calculation of our tax brackets so you can kind of see how this looks in action. So for this, we're going to make a couple assumptions. The first one is that you're single and your annual salary is $75,000. Okay? Of course, you could do this as married or head of household. Just refer back to that chart, and that'll definitely go ahead and help you in the process of calculating different scenarios. So for the first $9,875, this is going to be taxed at 10%. or 0.10, right? Just again, refer back to the chart. You can see this. So you'll take the first $9,875 out of this 75, which is going to be taxed at 10%. That's going to give you $987.50. All right. Now, since you make more than this, the next tax bracket ends at $40,125, right? So simply go ahead and take your $40,125 and subtract the $9,875 from it, and that leaves you $30,250, right? This is your next taxed bracket, which is 12% or 0.12. So this amount, which is the difference of $41,125, which is the end of the second tax bracket, subtract the first tax bracket limit, gives you this amount. So, and you're going to multiply this by the second tax bracket percentage, which is 12. This gives you $3,630. Now, because you make more than $40,125, you're going to go into the next tax bracket. However, your salary ends at $75,000, right? The third tax bracket goes up to $85,525, so you're not going to break into another tax bracket. So what you're going to do here is you're going to subtract the $40,125 from your $75,000 because you've already been taxed at this amount, right? So the remainder that you'll be taxed for in the third tax bracket is $34,875. That's just the difference of these two numbers. And that's going to be multiplied by the next tax percentage, which is 22% or 0.22. This gives you $7,672.50. So there you go. You simply add these up, get a total of $12,290, and this is your federal income tax and how it's broken down between the different tax brackets. Of course, if you made over $85,000, then you'd be breaking into the next tax bracket level. Refer back to that chart. It'll definitely help you out. Of course, one mistake that people make a lot of the times is, oh, I make $75,000, so they must be hitting me at this 22% rate for my whole salary. Well, if that was the case, you'd be paying $6,500 in taxes. This is inaccurate. This is what you pay out in federal income taxes, how it's broken down. And you can see, always refer back to your chart if you need to. So as you can see there, it's not too difficult. There's a little bit of calculations here, but nothing a little, cheap calculator can't handle. Essentially, you could do this for any amount, whether or not you're married, head of household. You just refer back to that little chart. You could also find this on the internet. But yeah, that's essentially how federal income tax is taxed, and that's essentially what tax brackets are. They're just additional percentages in which your income is taxed, given additional income, right? So if you go above that next tax bracket, any amount over that previous tax bracket is taxed at that new tax percentage, and so forth. I know it may still not be too clear. Just practice with it a little. Go ahead and make up fictitious numbers and fictitious families, couples and what have you. And you'll definitely get the hang of it once you kind of run through it a few times. Of course, if you have any questions or concerns, or if you need anything explained further, please feel free to drop a comment down below. I'll definitely answer any questions you may have. Hey, so that's going to be it for today. That was just a quick lesson. I hope it was informative. I hope it shed a little bit of light on federal income tax and the calculations that go with it. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you soon. Remember, it's just business, and we're just getting started.